welcome back to our channel. You won't believe what's going on behind the dark doors of the underworld and beyond the gates. A bitter betrayal, a deadly yet silent revenge plot, and a cold-blooded assassin waiting to strike. This story will leave you breathless with drama, stunned by the unexpected twists, and unable to take your eyes off every tense detail until the very last minute. Don't miss a second, the truth is about to come out and you'll be shocked. Doug is in a boiling mood. Both anger and humiliation are building up inside after being mercilessly kicked out of the casino. Not only is he humiliated, but he also feels deeply offended when he learns that Vanessa, the wife he once trusted completely, is secretly having an affair with Joey, a man Doug once considered inferior. The pain of betrayal makes Doug unable to sit still. But instead of acting rashly in a fit of rage, he decides to plan a more methodical, discreet, and vicious revenge. Doug understands that if he wants to strike a fatal blow, he must know the right time and the right tools. And Randy, an old friend with a troubled past, is the first pawn in this dangerous game of revenge. Doug turns to Randy not because he trusts him, but because he knows his weaknesses. Randy used to be a cunning, slippery guy who knew how to get out of dangerous situations. But more importantly, Randy has a shady past involving Joey, a betrayal that Doug thinks he can exploit to achieve his goals. Doug did not tell Randy his plan directly, only luring him with suggestions about big business opportunities, the chance to get rich quick, and most importantly, the chance to take revenge on Joey, the one who had kept Randy in the dark for a long time. Randy, who had no firm stance, was in a state of poverty, was attracted by the prospect of changing his life, and nodded in agreement without foreseeing the danger that awaited him. However, Doug did not know that Randy had been a thorn in Joey's side. Years ago, Randy had blatantly betrayed Joey. He stole a large sum of money from the organization, plotted to escape and almost succeeded if he had not been caught at the last minute. Although Randy was lucky to keep his life, that act of betrayal was deeply imprinted in Joey's memory as an indelible stain. Joey is not a forgiving person. And although he may seem to have forgiven him, he has never truly forgotten what Randy did. What Doug doesn't know is that Joey has been keeping tabs on Randy for a long time, just waiting for the right moment to strike, or to use him as a pawn when necessary. And now, as Doug begins to drag Randy into a plot against Joey, the old flames of hatred may be rekindled. Joey is not one to be fooled. Doug's shady dealings have not escaped his notice. And Randy's sudden return to the picture has Joey on his guard. He knows things are getting out of hand if he doesn't act quickly. Joey doesn't want any more trouble. In his world, betrayal never gets a second chance. And for Randy, that means death. Joey knows Randy is fickle, greedy, and disloyal, a time bomb if he is manipulated by someone else. To avoid trouble, he began to plan to remove Randy from the board. No warning, no explanation, just a nod and Marcel, the notorious, cold and never-failing assassin, would take action. Marcel is a name that makes many people tremble in the underworld. He doesn't talk much, just acts. When Joey assigns a mission, Marcel doesn't need to ask for a reason. For him, each assigned name is just a target to be eliminated. And this time, that name is Randy, a former traitor, now secretly colluding with Doug to fight Joey. Marcel silently follows Randy, grasping the habits, hours, whereabouts, and every movement of the target. Randy's every move is now closely monitored, not even the smallest trace can escape Marcel's sharp eyes. Meanwhile, Randy is still naively believing that he is entering an alliance that can help him salvage his reputation and money. He had no idea that Doug was just using him as a pawn, and Joey was ordering him to be killed in the dark. Doug also didn't realize that dragging Randy into the game was the most obvious sign that Joey would act faster. Doug thought he was being careful and discreet, but in reality, his every move was being scrutinized by people who were much more experienced than he was. The question now is not whether Joey will act, but when and where Marcel will act. A surprise attack on the street? A staged car accident? Or a disappearance without a trace? Any scenario is possible when Marcel has Joey's green light. And the most dangerous thing is that Doug, who thinks he is in control, can also become the next target if he continues to dig deeper. Joey is unforgiving, and those who anger him do not end well. The situation becomes more tense when Randy begins to feel that something is wrong. The strange eyes, the quiet footsteps behind him. The feeling of being constantly watched make him uneasy. He went to Doug to ask him directly what was going on, but Doug once again reassured him with promises of a perfect plan. A victory that would change both of their lives. Randy, who had little choice, clung to that vague belief, continuing to carry out Doug's requests. Getting closer and closer to the death trap that Marcel was setting. Doug continued to increase his provocations towards Joey, from spreading rumors, targeting weaknesses in his business network, to small tricks that had a big impact on his reputation. Joey did not react publicly, but inside, he was angrier than ever. He not only felt insulted, but also saw Doug as a threat that needed to be dealt with quickly, before things got out of control. Joey doesn't believe in coincidences. And Doug's sudden connection with Randy only confirms one thing: the enemy is very close, and if he doesn't act, he will pay the price. Marcel has his official orders: act within 48 hours. Leave no trace. Don't draw attention. A simple mission by Marcel's standards, but a turning point for the entire game. For the next 2 days, Randy won't know that he's living his last hours. And if Doug isn't careful, he'll quickly realize that dragging Randy into the game will not only give him no advantage, but will also make him the next person to be marked. The game is entering its most dangerous phase, where every small mistake can cost him his life. Who will fall first? Will Randy be able to escape the shadow of the past? Will Doug realize that he is the real prey? And will Marcel stop at just one name? The next developments will be more tense, bloodier, and not for the faint of heart. Keep watching to discover the fate of each character in this survival journey. Don't forget to like, follow and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any shocking developments of Beyond the Gates, where every secret has a price.